Civilian war culture is foreign, challenging. Civilian war culture. I've had the privilege of working several civilian jobs post-military, and I could tell you when I first started those jobs after retiring from 22 years in the military, I could tell you I caught hell. I caught hell, and it was a wake-up call for me to see the things that people on the outside cared about as compared to the things that we cared about in the military. You know, military is very mission focused, it's very serious. You're talking about life and death. But on the outside, what you'll find is, yeah, they're very serious, but it's not about life and death. But most of the time, it's about money, profits, and revenue. And so that's where you're going to have to change the mindset and understand that the culture is just different on the outside. It's different in the civilian workforce. And you will be successful as long as you just listen more than you talk. Listen more than you talk. Just kind of look around you and see how everybody else is kind of doing things, and just try to fall in line. Just try to fall in line. It's going to be a hard transition, particularly if you served a long time in the military. But it's a transition that is possible with a little patience. You got to do the work yourself. You have to understand that the language, even the language you use in the military, is not the language they use out here. You know, we use a lot of acronyms in the military. They use a lot of acronyms out here. The acronyms out here matter. The ones in the military don't when you're outside that uniform. And so you're going to have to just conform and just understand what the culture is out here in the civilian work sector. I could tell you that, I'll tell you a funny story for me when I first got out. First job I had, I worked with nothing but women. I think it was probably 15 women I worked with. And I was the only male. Working with the Texas Department of Agriculture, Food and Nutrition Division. Great group of people, great women, just great. They didn't treat me any different. I was the only black male among all these females. Like I said, 15 of them, it was only me. But I had to learn quickly that what mattered most was the civilian culture. And so one day what happened was, we had a meeting about an event we were supposed to have. You know, we were supposed to have some meeting about some special event, you know. And so I'm still new here, and I may have caught the tail end of what the planning was. But long story short, is what happened was I walk into the room, this meeting, I'm expecting, you know, military mindset. Everybody's, you know, sit in their positions. They're ready for some tough talk or negotiating or just listening. And I go in the room, and what do I see? I see balloons and cakes, and I see cards. And what it was a celebration for someone who was having a child, having a baby. And so just the craziest thing, man. I was just like, wow. It just blew me away that they celebrate those things in the workplace, you know. Oftentimes in the military, that's something you will not see celebrated in the workplace. Not saying all of them, don't get me wrong, but I came from the maintenance side of the house, okay? I came from the maintenance side of the house, and then I transitioned over into the hospital. And let me tell you, that was a culture shock even within the military. But here on the outside, that really shocked me to see the baby shower and to see all these ladies, and you know, they were talking about baby things. And so I had to get in line, and I didn't say anything crazy and say, what is this? What is this? No, I just listened and paid attention and used a little bit of compassion and empathy and understood what it was all about. But it ended up being a great event. But it was my first lesson into understanding the culture in the civilian world. Oh, by the way, in that meeting, something happened in that meeting. There was a lady that pulled me to the side. So the ladies were also teaching me. They were literally teaching me ways to carry myself because they knew I was military. And one lady pulled me to the side and she said, Eric, she said, you have to stop calling all the ladies ma'am. You know, because in the military, it's sir or ma'am, you know, particularly if you're an officer or of any rank, or it's just a respect thing, you know, sir or ma'am. Not just in the military, but in you know, regular life. But in the military, particularly, you better say sir or ma'am. But she was saying out here with all the ladies I worked around, when I called them ma'am, it implied they were older. They were older, and so some took offense to that. And so, you know, it was funny. It was funny, but it was serious. It was serious because I carried that. I carried that even today, to be mindful of the things that I say when around women.